meal requesting a crazy amount of grandparent visitation. How to move forward.
I am not Oop. Oop is you, Sass Boots. Originally posted to our legal advice. XMIL requesting a crazy amount of grandparent visitation. How to move forward. Trigger warnings. Emotional abuse and manipulation. Attempted parental alienation. Weaponized litigation. Grandparents' rights abuse. Less than. Original post October 1st, 2023. My XMIL has taken me to court for grandparent visitation.
Background: my ex was incarcerated 10/22 and since then I have allowed visitation, around 12x/month, included his side of the family in their school activities/extracurriculars, and sent pictures/updates. I also set boundaries at this time: no involving children in his case or discussing his case with them, no taking them to prison, etc. Grandma decided to break some of those boundaries, so I started to limit when/where she could visit. Anyways, all that wasn't good enough, so Grandma requested every other weekend, Dad's schedule, holidays, vacation time, and daily phone calls. We went to court and the judge pretty much said it's not Grandma's job to step into Dad's shoes, and it looks like Mom, me, was already allowing visitation, so they're going to have an uphill battle in her courtroom. Judge requested we go to mediation, then we would return to court later this year.
Now their attorney has sent me a letter asking for Grandma to have every Sunday from 95. I don't agree with any weekend visitation time because she is trying to take the kids to visit Dad in prison, and I am concerned about her communication with the kids, talking bad about me, asking them to delete messages, don't show your mom, putting them in the middle of conflict. My oldest told me they no longer answer her calls because they are tired of Grandma putting them in the middle of this. I was previously offering visits during the week, dinner dates, go to the mall, etc., but she was declining my offers. At this point, I don't feel comfortable offering any visits until there is a court order, stipulations around communication, prison visitation, etc. But do I need to respond to their attorney?
Also, my plan is to try and be fair here but also protect my children. Offer limited monthly visitation. 12 dinner dates per month, no overnights plus some holiday time. Offer to update them on events, extend invite to school activities. Put boundaries around communication. No prison visits. No putting children in middle of conflict. And I would like to keep my parental decision-making rights that if Grandma or her family continue to break these stipulations, then I can cease at any time without filing a modification. Does this seem fair, considering the circumstances? I can't find any information on what a grandparent visitation schedule would look like. Or do I ask the judge to throw this out completely because I was previously offering visits and Grandma is clearly a toxic nutcase? Sorry for the wall of text. Thank you for reading and any advice. Relevant comments. Ginger Daisy 03. Keep offering the weekday visits. Offer dinner dates with you and the kids. Park visits ECT. Save all text offers, declinings of visits. Then you can say, over X time I offered X amount of visit opportunities doing X activities which she declined. It will go a long way. Have your kids screenshot all those messages and send them to you. Add a passcode to their phone so GMA can't delete them. If GMA says nasty things, have your daughter write it down. In her own words. They may or may not consider it, but if you present it in the parental alienation light, they probably will. You can also probably contact the prison and state that if she arrives for a visit with the children, she is to be denied as she did not get permission to bring the children from their legal guardian, and your children are not to be allowed entry into the facility. Oop. Yes. I've saved everything and it was in my response to her RFO. I have screenshots of all the messages. Just waiting on next court date to present it to judge. I feel like I'm currently in this weird time of being in between court dates and don't really know which direction to go in. I don't want to seem that I am unwilling to offer any visitation. But at the same time I'm highly concerned with grandma's behavior and I don't want the court to say, well, you still allowed visits even with your concerns. Too bad. I do like the idea of a dinner date or park visit that might be a good compromise. Ginger Daisy 03. Oh. All those visits will need to be supervised. Use the texts as reasoning. I allowed supervised visits only as she was discussing inappropriate subjects with my minor children. They don't need details of their father's incarceration. I also wanted to make sure she was no longer trying to alienate me as a parent by talking badly about me to my children or taking my kids places I've specifically said they are not to be. All of which she has done before supply accumulated evidence. I am trying to ensure she has a relationship with her grandkids, but my priority is my children's well-being. Taking my children places I've said not to. Exposing my children to a prison. Speaking ill of their parents and asking them to lie to their mother makes it very hard to trust her with my children's safety and mental, emotional well-being. Also get your kids into a therapist if GMAS screwing with them. The therapist may be able to back you up if she hears the kids say directly she's speaking badly. They're uncomfortable. Oop. I like this. Do I write this back to their addie so they can have visits before the next court date? Hi. I received your letter requesting XYZ, but I will only agree to ABC due to LMNOP. Also, my kids are 10 and 15. Maybe they can go to dinner like you suggested and I'll be in the next booth over, or they can go the mall and I just follow them around. I will feel totally stalkerish, but I will provide transportation. Yes. Kids have been in therapy since incarceration. Krestejechkavivi. I think you need to just ask your children if they would like to even visit with grandma. If they don't, then simply offer supervised visits of your choice. Cuz bring up that the children have mentioned grandma keep going against yours and the children's wishes, creating drama, etc. That way you seem like you are being civil toward her, but she is the one who doesn't seem to want to compromise and keeps breaking the boundaries. Oop. My kids and I have had open conversations about what they would like visitation to look like. They are both very much, well, we'd like to see our family sometimes, but we don't want to go over there every other weekend. We don't want to go there for every holiday because we want to spend time with you and our other grandparents. And we are tired of them putting us in the middle of this. So now it's my job to navigate that and try to find a reasonable solution. That's why I was offering limited visitation updates, and have always been civil with her. Voracious. No one seems to have addressed the part where you seem resistant to following the judge's advice and try to work it out with the mill. By which I mean respond to the attorney. Tell the attorney what you've written here, that you don't want her to take them to see their father. Which is your right. So any unsupervised time on weekends is off the table. Don't talk to XMIL. Just negotiate through her attorney and see how it goes. I am a lawyer, but not yours. And the judge wants to see you being as reasonable as you have been. Don't give in, and just make a good faith offer. Dinner once a month and the occasional family holiday is probably sufficient for a grandma. Oop. Oh no. Not resistant to judge's advice. Which was go to mediation and try to work it out with grandma. I'm open to mediation and am hoping to come to a reasonable agreement on this so we don't need some long drawn out thing, but when the attorney sends me a letter and I am unrepresented, I just don't know what to do. Which is why I am here asking for advice. Definitely want to seem reasonable. I will see what I can work out with Addie. Thank you. And NBSP. Update December 19th, 2023. Long update. Feel free to skip to questions towards the bottom. Update. We went to mediation and did not agree. Grandma went from asking for every other weekend to asking for every Sunday from 7 a.m. 7 p.m. and says that if that's too early, She would pick up my kids Saturday so they would spend the night, of course. I said absolutely not happening. I received a letter from their attorney telling me to bring my children to court because the mediator communicated to him that they could interview the children. I ignored the request. I submitted a supplemental declaration with exhibits about my concerns with Grandma's behaviors. Grandma submitted a response full on bashing me, including false accusations. Honestly floored their attorney let that get sent out. When we went back to court, the attorney came up to me in the hallway to explain how court orders work. Lol. Told me that a standard order includes language about no derogatory comments about the other party. Yes, I know. He asked for me to send the kids to Grandma's for Thanksgiving. I said no. They saw them last year for Thanksgiving and even in custody orders between parents. One parent typically does not get every holiday every year. Then he threatened me with minors' counsel and the judge would order my children to come to court. Spoiler, she denied his request. Anyways, the judge seemed very much on my side and did not agree with Grandma's behavior. Agreed with my boundaries I set from the beginning and was pleased that one of them included for them to also not talk bad about the children's father. Overall, I have been reasonable. Judge commented that she feels most of this could be resolved if the petitioner would have reasonable expectations and requests for visitation. Well, their attorney asks for an evidentiary hearing. Judge looked annoyed, but from what I understand, if you request it you pretty much get it unless the court can find good cause to deny the request. Phew. Okay, sorry, that's the update so far. I am prepping for an evidentiary hearing. Questions. 1. Does my previous response to the RFO and supplemental declaration still count? Or do I need to reformat and type up a new declaration for the hearing? Or should I write up a new declaration and mark those as exhibits to reference? 2. I received their updated declaration. They are going back to their original request of every other weekend. Provided exhibits. Only pictures of kids with their family. And a witness list for testimony. However, according to CA Code FAM 217, they need to not only serve the witness list, they also need to provide a brief description of the anticipated testimony. They didn't provide that. Will this work in my favor? Do I object to the testimony, or what happens if I am unable to prepare due to their lack of proper filing? 3. Do I need to go in prepared with objections to testimony and cross-examination questions for each witness? Do I need to provide witnesses? Does it look bad if I don't have people in my corner to testify? Thanks again. And NBSP. This is a repost sub. I am not oop. Mill has lost perspective on reality and her attorney is making bank by trying to draw things out in court. By the time this case is wound up, one grandchild will be 16 and the other 11. That's old enough for a significant contribution of the evidence to come from the children. It's not going to be found in Mill's favor and will most likely have the opposite effect of having the children immensely dislike her. It's a small thing, but the grandma really lost me at daily phone calls. Can she not see that this will just bore the children and make them see her as a chore? And of course, it might only be a short call, but it completely blocks out anything else. The children want to go to the cinema, go and see a friend, participate in a sport? Can't, because those would clash with grandma's call. It's always fun to pressure kids to visiting relatives in prison. I can speak from first-hand experience that it never results in the kid resenting the relative. Does anyone go to court for grandparents' rights who isn't a nutcase? Depending on what state they're in. 15 is old enough to decide about visits. Teen probably wants time for herself and her friends too. every Sunday from 7 a.m. 7 p.m. and says that if that's too early, she would pick up my kids Saturday so they would spend the night. It takes a special kind of crazy to think a 15-year-old wants to spend every Saturday night at their grandma's house and then the entire Sunday at a prison. I hope Oop is able to hire an attorney. Half the battle of court is knowing the procedures, and while grandma is psycho enough that it may not matter that Oop is pro se, going in without an attorney, especially when grandma has obtained one, is not to her benefit. One kid is 15, 16 by the time this is done. Imagine being 15/16 and spending every weekend with your grandparents? As if those are prime friend years parties, movies, the mall, or whatever kids do these days. Is Oop going at this without a lawyer? I think that's a huge mistake, especially for how long it's gone. So Mill is gonna waste her retirement fund on a case she can't win. Oop needs the kids to tell the judge they don't want to go that often. The entire concept of grandparents' rights is odd to me. It just seems weird that a grandparent can, in some jurisdictions, demand and sometimes get visitation rights. It's also weird that it's always grandparents. I never hear about aunt, uncle visitation rights. For example, I picture our legal system as the plumbing system of a large house. Sadly, there is forever a person at every drain and toilet furiously pumping away with a plunger trying to unclog the system because grandma, and people like her, keep overloading it with bullshit. In my state, you must have the children's birth certificate for prison visits, at least as of 2018, and our state has no grandparental rights. Hope this goes in her favor. Monster-in-law seems like a nightmare. No kid wants to shuttle back and forth that much, no matter how much like they like a grandparent. I really want to see the resolution on this. I suspect Granny isn't going to like it at all, but I still worry for Op and her kids. What a nightmare, Mill. I wonder how old the children are. Depending on their age, they should be able to make their own decisions on visitation. She needs a restraining order, not a custody agreement. Just in case the Oop sees this. Potential options for no-cost, low-cost legal assistance. Oop mentioned CA. https selfhelp.courts.caa.gov/get-free-or-low-cost legal help. Sounds like attorney is trying to bury you in costs and paperwork and minutia to get you to concede. I would assume at Mill's request tell this to the judge. Record dealings with him. Tell him that is the only way you will converse with him. Condescending and bullying conversations on tape will sway the judge to be strict with them. Parasites are parasites. By their nature, they feed off of whoever they can latch onto. Make sure you are getting competent advice, and if you have a doubt, ask the judge to clarify your understanding of the situation.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.